Good morning, everyone. Feel free to offer incense before we begin service.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We're just taking a minute to see if we can resolve a camera issue before we begin with the live stream. And we hope we can resolve the audio. If we're getting the audio, then we'll probably continue with the live stream just so people can hear the service. But otherwise, then we will, with regret, not be able to live stream today's service. But thanks very much for coming today. Thanks for your patience. We'll be starting in just a minute.
Namandaps, 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 namandaps.
Good morning. I heard there's a technical issue with our live stream. You can hear us hopefully, but not be able to see us. Welcome to today's Dharma service chaired by the Covarrubias family, Hector, Andrea, and Paulina, and myself, Lorena. We will begin today's service with silent meditation led by Certified Minister's Assistant, Sharon Sasaki.
Let us cease from wrath and refrain from angry looks, nor let us be resentful when others differ from us. For all humans have hearts, and each heart has its own leanings. Their right is our wrong, and our right is their wrong. We are not unquestionably sages, nor are they unquestionably fools. Both of us are simply ordinary humans. How can anyone lay down a rule by which to distinguish right from wrong? For we are all, one with another, wise and foolish, like a ring which has no end. Kansho, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Please turn to page 24 of the service book for Sutra Chanting Junidai, led by CMA Sharon Sasaki.
Keishu Tenin Shokugyo Amida Sendyo Zokuson Zai Mi Mewanda Ko Muryo Bushi Shui Neo Konjiki Shinjo Nyo Senno Shamata Gyo Nyo Zobu Ryomokujo Nyaku Shorenge Koga Chorai Mirason Menzen Enjo Nyo Mangats Iko Yunyo Sen Nichigats Shonyo Ten Kukushira Koga Chorai Mirason Kanon Chodai Kanchuju Shuju Meo Soho Shogon Nobukugedo Makelman Koga Chorai Mirason Mubi Muku Koshojo Shutoku Kel Ketsunyo Koku Shosari Yakutoku Jizai Koga Chorai Mirason Jipo Myomon Bosashu Muryo Shomajo Sandan Isho Shujo Gandhi Kiju Koga Chorai Mirason Kontai Hoken Chi Shoke Zengon Shoujo Meudaiza Ohiza Jonyo Senno Koga Chorai Mirason 実法将来勝負し権限人図し安楽戦後尊厳上業古賀将来未来尊小無常無我と薬尿水月伝よろ一種説法無明人古賀将来未来尊非尊不説無悪名薬名如になくどふ主任死神教非尊古賀将来未来尊非尊無料法勉強無償修悪知識往生不退死菩提古賀将来未来尊仮説非尊苦毒寺修善無変如海水小逆前言少女者平成宗上小被告ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがにしくどく平等性祭どんぼ大神お嬢安楽Kansho Namo Amida Butsu Namo Amida Butsu Namo Amida Butsu Namandabs Namandabs Namandabs
Please rise if able for the recitation of our pledge, which can be found on an insert in the service book.
Our pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Kansho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated.
We will now listen to a family message from Certified Minister's Assistant Sharon Sasaki.
Please join me in Kansho. It is indeed sorrowful to give way to impulses with the excuse that one is by nature possessed of blind passions, excusing acts that should not be committed, words that should not be said, and thoughts that should not be harbored, and to say that one may follow one's desires in any way whatever. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab. So good morning, everyone. How are you? Oh, surprise guest. My daughters are here. I didn't know they were coming. So it's great to be back in San Diego after having missed the last 3 Sundays. Robert and I were traveling, first in New York, then with our daughter Ava, on a road trip to Great Basin National Park in Nevada. So I love to travel. We saw 2 nieces that now live in New York City, Allison and Haley. And we saw 2 Broadway shows in New York. And we also, in Nevada, saw 3,000-year-old bristlecone pine trees at Great Basin. So, however, but these days, for me, perhaps because I'm getting older, coming back to the daily routine in San Diego is not a letdown, but actually feels almost as equally enjoyable as our traveling adventures. So for my talk, I decided to share a few Dharma glimpses from our trips. So Dharma glimpse is a term that's used by the Bright Dawn Center of Oneness Buddhism, which was started by the late Reverend Koyo Kubose in 1996 in Coarse Gold, California, continuing the teachings of his father, Reverend Gyome Kubose, who wrote the well-known books Everyday Suchness and The Center Within. So, as I've heard from different senseis, the Dharma is everywhere. But for me, seeing it requires effort to pause and reflect. As Robert could attest, my mind is often focused on checking off a to-do list, then looking ahead to the next thing. So Dharma glimpses don't always come naturally for me. I don't like to admit this, but growing up and even into adulthood, I feel like I took the 3 treasures, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, for granted. Learning about the Buddhist principles of impermanence and interdependence made sense in my head, but didn't seem to hit me on a personal or emotional level. In 2021, I began to reflect on the teachings more seriously when I became a minister's assistant here and started taking classes in Shin Buddhism. I'm so thankful to Reverend Akahoshi and you, our Sangha, for this opportunity to better myself. The kindness of our ministers and ministers' assistants inspires me to want to be more like them and I marvel at our dedicated Sangha members who work selflessly and tirelessly for our temple. Not everyone wants to talk about the Dharma, but every Sunday I see members living the Dharma, teaching and guiding others through your actions. So being an MA has been extremely rewarding, but also a challenge because, to be honest, I feel a bit uncomfortable and underqualified to give Dharma talks. I think learning from great teachers in the last few years has made me feel even less qualified. But I'm heartened that in Jodo Shinshu, we are all considered ondobo, ondogyo, which is fellow followers and Nembutsu practicers. Going back to the Dharma glimpses during our travels, the first that came to mind was the remarkable opportunity to meet Hoshina Seki in person. Hoshina's father, the late Reverend Hozen Seki, founded the New York Buddhist Church in 1937. Hoshina is president of the American Buddhist Study Center, which is in the same historic building as the New York Buddhist Church, where Robert and I stayed for 5 nights in Manhattan. BCA members can rent rooms there in a terrific location on the Upper West Side, close to a great bagel shop and the subway. So talk to me if you're interested in their accommodations. So I was thrilled to encounter Hoshina while we were there. Her heartfelt story about her life as a transgender woman with tremendous struggles, but never doubting her Nembutsu faith, is in the March 2024 issue of the BCA's Wheel of Dharma newsletter. Hoshina introduced me to this eye-opening book, The Buddha's Call to Awaken, written by Monshu Koshin Otani, who was the father of the current head priest of our Jodo Shinshu tradition, Gomonshu Otani Kojun, whose photo is right up there above the door. Hoshina told me that the Monshu Emeritus, Zemon-sama, decided to have this book published through their American Buddhist Study Center because it contains his personal thoughts and feelings that might be considered controversial from a Honganji perspective. Having read most of it, Hoshina wasn't kidding. I really appreciate how Zemon-sama speaks directly out of great concern about our modern society. He doesn't pull any punches. You get a hint in the book's subtitle, Shin Buddhist Views on the Crumbling of True Spiritual Values. So reflecting on oneself can expose aspects that you don't want to see. The opening passage I read is from Shindan Shonin's Lamp for the Latter Ages in the Collected Works of Shindan, Volume 1. Zemon-sama discusses this passage in the book, explaining that Shindan Shonin set down ethical guidelines, saying that one must awaken to the worst kind of karma that is fueling our unwholesome behavior. As Shindan explained, it is only through awakening to karmic evil's hold over us that it is possible to curb inappropriate actions. So even though we cannot get rid of or reform our karmic evil, by waking up to it, we can lessen how much we act on it. I can personally relate to this. As a Shin Buddhist, I've always kind of excused my own selfishness, thinking that everyone has bonno, imperfections or limitations, also known as kleshas or blind passions. I realized that I need to try harder to be less selfish and not lazily excuse myself with the justification that greed, anger, and ignorance are human nature. Zemon-sama also shares his own religious joy. He writes that the joy he has experienced is not the kind where the world suddenly becomes bright, like a light bulb went on. Instead, there's something that he's been made aware of that was previously hidden. It's the joy of having received the gift of wisdom and compassion working in his life. His was not a spectacular experience of joy. It was more like an experience that came oozing out slowly from the deep recesses of his heart. He writes that when we realize that we exist as the sum total of everything we have received, this is a starting point for awakening to ourselves as ordinary people. And we start to notice that we are being made to take notice of things by the working of something greater than ourselves. These words made me realize that even though I didn't always appreciate growing up as a minister's kid at the temple and took Buddhism for granted, something greater than myself has been seeping in, kept me coming, and led me along this path. I had another Dharma glimpse in Sin City, Las Vegas. On the way home from Great Basin, we stayed in downtown Vegas at the Main Street Hotel and Casino. After checking out, Robert Ava and I were hauling rolling bags, backpacks, and coolers out of our 9th floor hotel room, walking to the elevator. Then we heard someone say, "The elevator is here," from inside the elevator. We rushed in with our bags and encountered a woman who looked like a Japanese American from Hawaii, probably in her 70s, and reminded me of many of our BWA ladies here. She kindly kept the button pressed to hold the door open while we got all of our bags in. Then, on a lower floor, the elevator door opened for another party with 3 to 4 people and large bags. Inspired by the kind woman, instead of spreading out and implying there wasn't space, we squeezed and made space for everyone to fit in the elevator. Finally, when we reached the lobby floor, I gestured for the woman to exit before us. But she said, "I'm the only naked one. No bags. You go first." So she was the last one out. This gesture of kindness and patience, that other people are equally important or more important than herself, was a wake-up call to pay it forward, to try harder, to be more thoughtful and helpful to others. The infinite wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha shines on all sentient beings, particularly because of our inability to get rid of our egocentredness. So in Jodo Shinshu, acts of kindness are not to gain credit or Buddhist merit, but a response in gratitude for what we've already received. An alternative phrase we can use for Dharma glimpse is Nembutsu moment, a term coined by Mr. Piper Toyama, the founding head of the Pacific Buddhist Academy, which is the first Shin Buddhist high school in the Western Hemisphere in Hawaii. In his talk to the Federation of Dharma School Teachers, Mr. Toyama asked, "Why do Dharma schools exist?" His answer was to create conditions for students to engage in Nembutsu moments, the defining experience of Shin Buddhism. Mr. Toyama presented this fourfold explanation. A Nembutsu moment is when we realize we're not alone in this precious life. A Nembutsu moment is when we experience profound gratitude for what has been done, is being done, and will be done for us, just as we are. A Nembutsu moment is when we feel the heart of Amida within the depths of our own hearts, just as we are. A Nembutsu moment is when all we can say is Namo Amida Butsu. In closing, please join me again in Kansho. It is indeed sorrowful to give way to impulses with the excuse that one is by nature possessed of blind passions, excusing acts that should not be committed, words that should not be said, and thoughts that should not be harbored, and to say that one may follow one's desires in any way whatever. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon, for your wonderful message on Nembutsu moments from your trip to New York and Las Vegas. Please rise for the Gatha Ondoku-san, which can be found on page 128. Kansho, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu. You may be seated.
At this time, are there any announcements?
Hi, everyone. Bill here. I just wanted to let you know that some of you were asking after a very nice little book that the current Gomonshu, Kojun Otani, prepared for us in a very easy to understand form called Carry Forward Just As You Are. And so we had a few of them. They sold out. We now have more back in the bookstore. And members are also able to go ahead and borrow one out of the member lending library that's in the conference room. The books that I just mentioned already have a card in there with the name of the book, and then you just put your own name and the date and your contact information, and you're certainly welcome to take them out that way. The books are about $10, so thanks for that. Thank you.
I have an announcement. The San Diego and Vista Junior YBAs are hosting their Southern District Conference August 24th and 25th. And our theme is a game show theme. So it's Wheel of Dharma, competing against the three poisons. And so I'm leading one of the workshops, which will be a twist on Family Feud. And so I need to survey 100 San Diego County Buddhists. So you can, if you want to find me down in hospitality, 100, that's a rough number, somewhere around there. But if you want to take my survey and help me get some answers so the kids could play Junior YBA Feud, that would help me a lot. Thank you. Are there any other announcements? Please join me in closing meditation. May the wisdom of the all-compassionate One so shine within our hearts and minds that the mists of error and the foolish vanity of self be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and reach spiritual peace. Kansho, Namo Mirabutsu.
Namo Mirabutsu.
Namo Mirabutsu.
Namo Mirabutsu.
Namo Mirabutsu.
Namo Mirabutsu. Namandabutsu.
This will conclude today's service. Thank you all for joining us both in person and online. Thank you, Sharon Sasaki, for officiating today's service and for your wonderful message. Thank you to Yukari Williams for the flowers and helping set up the onaijin. And to Arturo Rubio for ringing the Kansho. And to Robert Yamamoto for the music. And Ricky Cheeks and Flynn for the technical assistance on the live stream. At this time, we invite you to offer incense and join us downstairs for hospitality. Thank you.